And good afternoon, everyone, and almost good evening. And I'm going to have to peek down. I don't know how I got it to where my head wasn't cut off before. But I'm going to open up with some song here for you, and then we'll go right into the education. The song is kind of part of the class today, but it's not essential what song I play. But I'm going to use it as a reason to teach the class today, okay? So let me put on something here. Let's see. All right. Yeah, okay, I think I like that. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Okay, well, I had fun with that. I hope you enjoyed that. Um, so I kind of had fun with the guitar sounds because, you know, that was actually my first instrument that I did a lot with music. You know, I took piano when I was 15 and I stopped playing when I was 15. So, yeah, it was a short-lived. I thought I was going to be a rock singer one day until I recorded myself singing over a cassette of one of my favorite rock bands. And I thought, no way. And then I got a guitar, and my bass player that I met, he actually kind of convinced me to get away from singing. He was very diplomatic about it, too. And from there, I learned to play the guitar. And then when I needed a job, desperately, I opened up an ad in the paper and got hired at Fletcher Music Centers. And I've been doing this ever since, but I still play my guitar from time to time. Anyway, that has nothing to do with today's class. I got off on a tangent about the guitar. But what I do want to do today, and I kind of said earlier, I might be repeating something we've taught before, but in the last 30, 40 days, we've had a lot of new members to the GENOS product. And one of the things we're going to do from time to time is getting back to basics. I'm not going to do that today. But what I am going to show off today is something that we talk about a lot on various products. We have song setups or playlists, as we call it here. We have the registrations or presets, as most people are familiar with. On the Lowry product, it's the presets. The last Lowry product that came out was called setups, all in the same category. And we always instruct our students to use those presets because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those at your fingertips. But let's face it, sometimes we like to go out and choose our own sounds or try to create our own setups. So I'll kind of cover the basics of saving some setups here and on the screen. Now, the screen that I'm using here, I'm back to the format of using my TV here. I had it set up, as you know, before I started recording this. I had it set up directly, but it was giving a really bad static noise. And I know how to get around that. I just need another computer. Anyway, so what I did is I opened up with a song, Phantom of the Opera, and I went and I found a style that I thought would be great. And I went into the disco category, and the disco category, by the way, you can find, it took me about 20 minutes to find the one I wanted to use. I can't say the one that I liked because I liked so many of them, and that's what took me so long. And so, let's see here. All right. So, you'll see the orange button there says Rock Disco. That's the style that I used to play the song. Now, you'll see that I'm on the retro pop category there. And on page 3, I ended up with 70s rock disco. I didn't try the other ones yet on this page, but any one of them probably, well, I can't say any one of them. My guess is that the disco funk may have worked, that disco, the Q, what is that? Disco, however you pronounce that. But anyway, if you go to the first page, the second page, is it? There it is. The second page, you'll see that there's a bunch of other disco styles in there. And I tried every one of those, and every one of those actually worked. So I kept going back and forth. I ended up with the rock disco. Not too important what I used is as important of what I'm going to do with what I used, okay? And so I'll bring that back to the screen here. So what I did is I took that style and I started with the one-touch settings. That was my first go-to. Once I discovered the style that I wanted to use, the next thing I did is I just used my one-touch settings here, okay? And even before I played, as you noticed, I kind of did a little bit of this. Okay, I kind of like those. But and I was just very quickly going through it because I didn't really mess around with it too much earlier. And I was just going through, and as I played a couple of notes, I went, yeah, I'll try that one. Yeah, I think I'll like that one. Yeah, and I decided, I didn't shake my head earlier, but in my head I was going, I'm not in the mood for that sound. And oh, the guitar. So in this case, I found 3 setups that I wanted to use. And then as I was playing, I started off with intro 3. I think intro 2 would have worked fine too. And as I was playing, I reached over to the left and used some of the main variations. You probably saw me once or twice reach over to this side here. And what I did was, there was you see it right there, right there on the right side, there's you may not be able to read it from there, but what it says is sustain. And
Says what?
sustain. Now,
Okay.
the sustain, it's pretty cool because that's what it has. And so when I was doing the strings, no. Okay, at one point I wanted to use sustain with that. So it kind of holds and the cool thing about it, what I've discovered on the sustain, is that depending on the preset you have, the sustain is kind of predetermined so that way it works for those sounds. However, when I put this sound on the guitar, I did not have sustain on. Notice how it was like, okay, that's a little bit too much.
Okay, no four.
So it would have gotten really bad. It would work. So you saw me reaching over a few times. But for the strings, it worked both ways, but I kind of liked having the sustain. Well, where am I heading with this? We developed our own presets. Marco developed a bunch of presets that are beautiful. But you may want to create your own. And sometimes the starting point is what's already built in for you, and then you can build from there. So in this case, I found 3 different sounds I wanted, 3 types of presets, and I even liked one with sustain. But the last thing you want to do when you're playing is going back and forth and reaching over and so saving them into the registration or the presets is the way to do it. And it's the easiest thing to do. So for starters, I'm going to put on the rhythm. I have a rhythm. I have intro 3. Okay, that's intro 2. Oh, that's pretty cool too. Okay, so I'm going to settle with number 3. And then I want to, and I went, okay, I kind of like that sound. What is it there? In the screen, it'll tell you. Obviously, if you're on your home screen, it just says 80s Arnold lead, 80s unison lead, Hollywood solo. To me, what these are like synthesizer sounds, but I thought they'd be pretty cool to use. All right. And so I just started to play a little bit, and after the introduction, and when the introduction was over. Okay, so anyway, I pushed a few things, and I've got intro 3, main variation A, one touch setting 1. Now I'm going to steal that, call it stealing. I'm just going to, all I have to do to memorize it is press the memory button. And when you do that, what will pop up on the screen there is, what do you want to save? Now, I've got a lot of things checked here. All right? And I'm just going to go with all those things checked. You can take it a step further if you're using vocal harmony, assignable presets. But before I do that, let me cancel out of that for a second. I know we've talked about this on a class or two, but some of you like the touch sensitivity off. Some of you like it on. If you don't want it on and you're saving a preset, this is a good place to do it. So I'm going to leave it on, but to do that, you just go to the menu 2, and then you'll see there it says keyboard, and you'll notice that I have it set to the soft position. I think soft 1 and 2 are pretty close, okay? And as we've said before, all that really does is it allows you to play the keys. You don't have to hit them as hard. And I think what it's implying is here, even if you hit the keys softly, you're going to still be able to hear the sound. If you switch it to the hard 1 or 2, It means you got to hit the keys a little harder in order to hear it, okay? So I'm going to keep it in the soft 2. Now, if you say, I don't even want that, I just want it to just play, I don't want to have to worry about hitting the keys, you can just uncheck them if you'd like. When you go to save this preset, it'll save it as you see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there for now, okay? And then I'm going to hit memory, and I'm going to start with number 1, and that's it. It's done in there. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the exact same thing, and I'm going to turn them back on. But this time, I'm going to hit memory and number 2. Okay?
No.
So I got basically, actually, what I'm going to do is take off the intro on number 2. Let me do that again. Memory 2 saved. Okay? Now, moving on, I'm just going to do a couple more here. Let's see here. So I kind of play it after. So 1, when I'm playing, will have the touch off. No matter how hard or soft I hit it. Number 2 will have it in there. But anyway, moving right along, let's say I go to the next part of the song and I've changed the main variation. Now, do I want sustain or don't I? I'm going to say yes. Okay? So I'm going to put the sustain on. I've got on main variation B. I'm going to just save it again. Memory number 3. And then I switched to this sound earlier. So this is with the sustain. I love it. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go to number 4. This has the guitar, but wait, my sustain is still on. Let me turn that off. Okay, and I go, I kind of like that. Memory number 4. Let's see, and then maybe on the 5th one I go back to the strings with the sustain, maybe a little bit more in the band. Okay, so what I'm doing here is as I go, as I make changes, I'm saving the work as I go. Memory 5, memory 6, and so forth, okay? Now, the next step is they are in here at this moment in time. You have 2 places to put these. Well, 3. The third you may not like, or the first you may not like. One is in the trash by accident. Okay? One option is you can save it to your USB. The other options, you can save it into the instrument. I guess technically there's another option. The 4th option is you can do it on both, which is what I've been doing. Every time I save, I have a GENOS at home, so a lot of times at home as I'm messing around, I'll save it on the keyboard or the workstation. I'll save it on the workstation and my USB, so that way if I'm here at the store, I can load it in and use it, okay? Now, so saving setups is really that simple. Once you have it set a certain way, just push memory and push the number. The next step is, if you want to take it a step further, which I think is very important, is to save it on to the instrument. At least save it onto the instrument, okay? So what I'm going to do here, and by doing that, you have your registration bank. There's 2 buttons next to the 1, all right? And you push the 2 together, and your screen will show up like this. And depending on where you're at on the use of your product, earlier I was using Marco presets just to see what other stuff he had in there. Whatever screen you're at, you can just go back to if you just press the user button, it brings you back to that home page there. Now you'll see it says user and USB 1, because I have a USB in here. I'm going to start with user as internal. All right, so these presets that I have, I want to save them onto the Genos, okay? So what you do is you press the File button, and it's going to give you an option. You can rename, copy, move. You could do all sorts of things. You can rename a file. You can copy a file. You can move something that's on the screen. You can delete it. Right now, I'm in the part of the process of saving something. So I'm going to touch the save, and you'll see an option up there. It says cancel, new folder, or save here. Well, I can save here, and if I do, it'll put it, however I title it, it'll put it right under that Genos 2 Quick Demo button. But what I want to do is separate it and put, I'm going to create another location for these presets. You may be creating some presets maybe for Phantom of the Opera. You may be creating some presets wrapped around Latin music. However you want. You can do quite a few of them. You're not restricted to what you see there. Once you get to the bottom there, you see the blank box at the bottom here. Once that's filled with a folder or something, when you go to save again, you'll have a page 2 option, etc. Okay, but right now I'm going to say, no, I don't want to save here. I want to create a folder. Okay, and if people if they're a little newer to the use, and I'd hate to say that, how can somebody be newer to the computers, but there are some people that I still talk to that using computers is very new to them still. And I always tell people a computer is basically like having a file cabinet or an office with a filing cabinet. And I had a student last week that's going to be purchasing one of these, or he purchased one, and he doesn't do any of this sort of thing. And so when I explained to him, I said, think of this like a filing cabinet. And if you have, I said, do you have a filing cabinet? And he said, yes. I said, what do you have files in there? He named a few, and he said, well, I got one folder for my taxes. I got one folder for, this and that. And I said, well, that's the same thing. Here, you have different folders in your filing cabinet, or think of it like a big notebook. So I'm going to create a new folder, a new manila folder. All right? And then I'm going to label it. And in this case, if you press and hold the delete, it'll clean it out. Oops, press and hold delete. There we go. And then you can rename it. And I'll just name it G. And you'll see the little blue arrow here. That's the uppercase, lowercase. E-N-O-S. Space bar, and uppercase C, lowercase, I'll just call it class. Okay? And then once you got it the way you want it, you can click OK. So there it is. See, Genos class. All right? Now, I'm still in the process of saving. Can you see that up in the top right corner? I haven't gotten quite on the top right corner here. Hopefully that's visible. It says cancel new folder, save here. Well, I don't want to save on this screen. I want to save it into that Genos class. So now I'm going to touch Genos class. And now I've got a bunch of blank spots in there. Now if I press save here, and what you're seeing is whatever the last thing that was in those presets, how it was worded. Okay? So I'm going to rename that. I don't want it to save it as registration, blank registration bank. These are presets for Phantom of the Opera. All right? So I'm going to press and hold the delete. And then I'll go through the same process, arrow up. Okay? And I'll just, to keep it simple, I'll just call it Phantom. Okay? And then once I'm done, I'm going to press OK. All right? So there it is, Phantom. Now, if I go back to the user, or if I press the little arrow up there, it'll bring me back to the main screen, and you'll see that it says GENOS class. So if I come back later on and I change presets, I use playlists or Marco's presets, because it's going to eliminate those presets. So if I go in here and I go to user and I go to Marco's class presets and I put a whole new world, it automatically put a whole new world in the presets here. Let's see here. So as soon as I did that, these buttons changed on me. Now if I do this, let's see what we got. That's pretty. That's pretty, but that's not the Phantom, right? So to get them back, I just simply do the same thing. I push the two registration banks together, and then when I go to my screen here, I just go to the user, I can arrow up, I go to the GENOS class, and the minute I press Phantom, whatever presets that we saved in the screen are now in the GENOS. Okay? So there they are. Now, I want to take this a step further. And I was watching the class that Marco did last week, and he was talking about direct access and the presets. Okay, so if you push direct access and you hit presets, it's going to show you something on the screen here. So let me exit, and let me do that. And all right, so I'm going to press direct access, and then I'm going to press one of the presets, and you'll see there it's telling me what sound is in that's being used for those presets that I saved or resaved. I borrowed them from some. So you'll notice here when I save that preset, those are 3 sounds we're on, number 2, etc. On that guitar sound, there is 2 different sounds that's on or in there, but they're not in use. That's the sound. But this is what I want to really talk about here, is over here, you'll notice, I don't know if you could see that, but each one says new registration, new registration, new registration, new registration. Well, I don't like that. I want to know when I pull up this screen, I want to know what I'm getting, even though it's kind of telling me the sounds. So you can actually rename each one of these if you'd like. So how do I do that? Well, let me exit the screen. I'm going to push the registration bank 1 and 2 together again, or minus and plus. So I'm back on this screen here. Let me just go back to the user. I don't know that you need to do that. Now you'll notice in the top right corner there's an option there that says menu. And when you touch it, you're going to get several options. The first option is what you just saw. Okay, so let me exit out of that. If you push menu, you'll see it says registration bank edit. So I'm going to touch it. And you'll see here, these are the 5 that I saved, but it automatically labeled it like that. So I know that when I was playing, let me pull up that. Let me pull up the info. So number 1 has. I'm going to call it the synth. Same thing. Strings, guitar, and strings with sustain. Okay, so that's what's there. So what I'm going to do is kind of label it for myself. So I'll just start with the first one. I highlight it. You'll see that when I highlight, well, it's kind of faint, but when you stop it. When you highlight it, whatever you highlight, you can do all the group at once, or you can do individually. So let me do all of them at once first. Nope, you can't. Sorry. Scratch that. All right, here we go. So I selected number 1. Okay. Now you see the rename. I'm going to touch rename, and I'm going to label this a little differently. Okay, same thing, Phantom. And I'm just going to put intro. Intro. And then maybe I'll do something like this. Symbol. Where's the dash? Where are you, dash? Dash, 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 dashing through the, there we go. All right, ABCs. I'm going to put TS off. Okay, so I had the touch sensitivity off. My point is that you can label it however you want for yourself. So you can do delete, Phantom. Do I need to call it Phantom, I guess, you know. You can label it however you want. Phantom, I'll put synth. Even though it tells you the sounds, it's kind of nice to know what types of sounds you're going to get before you get there. They're synth sounds. Number 3, maybe this one here. I'll go a step further. It was strings. Okay, and then here it was guitar, or you can do rock. R, I'll just put R-O-C-K, abbreviate, okay, and then the last one, we'll rename it again, and I'll just call it strings, okay? Now, so that's how it's labeled. So now if you go back to the option of doing the direct access, you push direct access. Now before I do that, look on the screen there, and you'll notice at the top left there, whatever preset you have selected is going to show you what you just labeled. So 1, Phantom Intro TS off, Phantom Synth. Number 3, strings, rock guitar, strings. Okay? It's really labeling it for yourself. So when you're playing, when you're playing, you know what sounds you have on. You leave it there, that's what it's going to tell you. If you want to know what you have while you're playing, press direct access, and then hit one of your presets, and there you go. So you now have, you can just leave that screen there, so while you're playing your song, you'll know what sounds you're going to get before you get it. Now, here's the, if you want to call it an issue, I don't call it an issue. It's actually just part of the process. And that is, and I do this, we do this all the time on every product. When I teach my Song of the Month classes, I typically start with a group of setups, and then I go back a couple days later and I work on them and I go, oh, no one changed, and I make changes as I go. And I do one of two things, sometimes both. As I make changes and I save them back onto my instrument, sometimes what I'll do is I'll save them in addition to what I already have. So I might have 2 versions. And the reason why I do that is I might go back, it might give me something to go back to see if because if I made some changes that were drastic, I can go back to something and go, you know what, I kind of like that. So a lot of times I'll have 3 or 4 versions of setups for a particular song. Or once I have my final one, that's the one that I'll use. So you have 2 things you can do at this point in time, okay? You can go through the process of saving this into the instrument again, and let's do this. So it's no different. I'm going to press registering the 2 registration banks. I'm just going to hit, you can leave it on that screen, if you go File, Save, you're already there, but you can always go back to wherever you want before you save anything. So I'm going to go back to Geno's class. So let's say I want to save these presets here. Okay, so I'm going to say save in this screen. Now, you have a very important decision to make. Because if I want to label it Phantom again, what it will not do if I save it in that exact location, it's gonna basically complain. It's going to warn you. I'm going to leave it there, not title it, and see what happens. And it says it. Phantom RGT already exists. Overwrite. It's basically saying, hey, are you sure you want to proceed here? You sure you want to do this? Which is good. Okay? I'm going to go, no, because right now I'm teaching this class, and I got to show everybody maybe the option 2. Now, if I'm dead set on my setups and I like them, I can do that. So I'm going to just cancel. And I'm going to do the same thing, save here. But this time, maybe I'll just word it something. You could put version 2, V2. However you want. As long as it has one character different, it doesn't matter. Even if you just have a dot, that's different. You can label it however you want. However it's going to work for you, I'll just put Phantom. Actually, I like using version numbers for some reason, too. Okay? And then you press OK. So now you have, when I load in number 2, let's take a look at the screen here. You're going to see the registration bank info. It's labeled the way we saved it. Now let me go back and load in the original format. Registration bank info. Ugh, that's like a tongue twister for me for some reason. And that was the original format. This could be used for multiple things. Maybe not just rewording, but maybe you go back and let's do it. Maybe I go back and as I'm playing along, and I'm going to use some of the setups here. Let's see. Okay, I like that. Maybe I want to add another preset, but I want to make some changes. I want to find a different sound. Well, let's do that. What would I do, Robert? I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked. Okay, so I'm on this preset that I've saved, and I'm going to go, you know what? Let me just turn off these 3. Let's hear the string. Okay, and I go, let's see. And I'm just basically asking myself, which one do I want to keep on or change? So I'm gonna leave these 2 on. No, maybe not. Okay, and then I'm going to change whatever that is. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick something else. Let's see. I want to find like a church organ, a pipe organ. There's got to be one in here somewhere. Where are you, pipe organ? Okay, I know you're in here somewhere. Let's see. Nope. Oh. I wasn't expecting to do that, but okay, here we go. Oh, I like that. Now let me try it with the strings. Let's see what happens. Okay, I like it. So now I have a choice to make. I'm going to save it again by simply doing memory. Now I'm going to do number 6. And then I want to change the way that preset labeled, because all I did is I took an existing preset that was labeled a certain way. So if you look at the screen here, I'm going to hit direct access. And you'll notice that when I pull up the screen here, it's labeled the same way. Even though it has that concert organ tutti I always laugh when I hear that tootie, but it's really a nice, strong organ sound, right? But what didn't happen is how it's labeled for my reference. Because once I save something, like if I took number 4 and I put a piano and strings and bells, and then I save it to number 7, it's still going to say rock guitar there. This doesn't change until you go back and rename it. That will change, but this will not. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go to number 6 again by pushing that file option, or menu option, sorry, registration bank edit. Now I'm going to go to number 6 and rename it, and it's strings and organs. So maybe I'll just do just that. I'll just change it a little bit. Slash symbol slash, which slash that way, and then I'll put organ. Okay, so now that's in there. Now we're back to making a decision again. Now I got to save these presets into the instrument. Now you don't have to, but the minute you load another preset in, it'll eliminate those. However, I will tell you, and I think Marco mentioned this last week, if you go to load in a playlist or another preset at this point in time, it will warn you. It will give you a notification. I saw that on the class he did last week. So if I go to load in one of his setups in here, or I load presets or playlists, it'll prompt you that, hey, wait a second, do you want to save it first? Okay, so you still have a little protection there, but I always say if you're making changes and you're doing stuff, go ahead and save it again. So file, save. I don't want to save here. I want to touch the GENOS classes where I'm doing it, and I'm going to save here. And you know what? Version 2 and 3, version 2 is almost the exact same thing that we just did. So instead of saying another version, I'm going to leave it like that because all I did is I added one more preset to it. I'm going to press OK. It says Phantom 2, version 2 already exists. You overwrite? Yes, I do want to overwrite it. Now this version 2 has been replaced with the one we just did. Okay? Now if I go in and I save another preset, memory number 7, I'll do the exact same one. And then I go to, here's a great example. I'm going to go pick another group of presets here. I'm going to go grab Marco's class presets, April in Paris. Watch what happens. You see it? What does it say? It says the current registration bank has changed. Because what I did is I saved another preset. And it's basically saying, hey, wait a second. Do you want to save your changes or you before you put this? Because the minute you load the presets for, what is this, April in Paris, it's going to wipe it out. I'm going to say, no, I don't need to save them. Okay? Don't save. So now I have April in Paris in the organ, or the GENOS. Okay? Now I'm going to go back to my presets, GENOS class version 2. All right? So now the presets for Phantom are back in there. So, any questions about any of that I've talked about today?
I have one.
Who's I?
Ethel.
Ethel.
Yeah.
There you are. Hi, Ethel.
Hi. Can you tell me how to go back to the beginning of the classes? Because I just got my keyboard the other day.
You want to be able to see all the classes that we recorded?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to, there's a couple places.
All right.
One is on Patreon right now currently, and one is also on our YouTube channel. And I think, I'm glad you asked. I think what I'm going to do is send you a link I might have to send everybody a link to get it, but let me go to our. There's two ways to do this, and I'm just going to go to a website here. Let's see. All right, so if you go online, you have a couple ways you can do this.
Okay.
If you go to youtube.com/Fletcher Music Centers, it brings you to our YouTube channel.
Fletcher Music Centers?
Yeah, it's youtube.com/Fletcher Music Centers. Okay?
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
sometimes people try to type it in and they get one character wrong and then you have trouble finding it. Another way to do it is if you go to our website, just go to FletcherMusic.com because there's less letters, I guess. FletcherMusic.com, okay?
Okay.
And you'll see at the very top here, it says connect with us. This little envelope that's if you want to be on our email list. So if for any reason people accidentally subscribe to our emails and they'll say, I'm not getting emails anymore. If that ever happens, you can always go back to this envelope and re-register.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, this F is for Facebook, that's Instagram, and these last two is YouTube and Patreon. Okay, so if you click on it, it'll automatically open up. There's the YouTube channel. All right, and then if you go, let me move my thing here. Okay. If you go down here, you'll notice that there's a thing called playlists. Sometimes the most recent one shows up. So you see here, this one here was from, looks like the one he did last week, okay? Let me just scroll through first. So we have, these are all little, what we call playlists. In other words, they're groups. Okay, let me just see. All right, so I don't see the GENOS playlist in the way they're displaying this. So you go up to this little thing here, it says playlist.
Right.
And if you touch that, you'll see that we have different categories for everything, from holiday to whatever. And over here, there's one that says Yamaha GENOS.
Okay.
And you'll see it says view full playlist. And when you click on it, it'll open this up, and then you'll see all these episodes.
Okay.
Now, I might change, by the way, starting this year, I might go back and change this from 14 to 1. I haven't made that decision yet. So since you guys are all on and watching this, just make note, if you go back and you see a 1 here, it's because maybe I started renumbering them from the beginning of the year. But they're all dated, okay? And depending on how you list, you can sort. If you click sort here, I have mine sorted from the newest on top and the oldest at the bottom. So when you're on this screen here, you can choose how you want to view it. Okay? But they're all dated. And then many times when you click on one, it'll in the notes, like if I want to see what Marco did last week, you just click on it.
No one seems to know this, but Amazon actually has a
I'm going to pause that. Well, you got a commercial there.
$50 million fund that they have to pay out every single month.
Stop it.
So, just to start the class, wait for
Okay. So, and if you look in the little notes here, right underneath it, it'll kind of give you he talked about the menu button, the score, direct access. You know, sometimes
Okay. Yeah, that's what I need to learn.
Yeah, so we just put little things, but every week we've taught something different. Sometimes we recap stuff, you know. And then if you're done watching it, the easiest way is to go back, this go back arrow, and then it brings you back to the screen. That's the easiest way to go back. And then you'll see from back when now see here, 15's now at the bottom. Well, how do I have mine sorted? Oh, because wait a second. January 16, episode 15. Oh yeah, maybe I have it sorted. Oh, date published, newest, oldest, I don't know. How you pick the one that you want that's going to work for you, but they're all labeled, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Any other questions about this today?
That was good.
I'm going to leave you with one other thing on this. and
How
that is-
how do you grab a sound from let's say Marco's stick? Just the sound, not the style. While you have picked your style, then you want some of the sounds from his stick.
Now, when you say stick, an actual USB,
Yes,
not
Oh.
something that's built into the keyboard.
correct.
Okay. So if you want to grab something from here,
Yeah.
okay, this is how you do it. It's pretty simple. You push the registration bank 2 buttons together.
Gotcha.
Obviously, you have the USB inserted. So you push that. Now, I don't think any of his stuff on this stick, but we'll see.
Or just any stick then.
Yeah,
that
I
you,
got one, but
Right.
same idea. Let me just pull
Right.
this up. Okay. So now you're on this screen here, and you'll see it says USB 1.
Right.
If you put another one in, it's USB 2, and if you put another one, it's USB 3. So you just tap
Right.
it, and whatever's on that stick is going to show up. Now I have my stick labeled. I use it for SD, Lowry, GENOS 1 and 2. So he may have it to where all the files are going to just automatically show up. If you see a folder there, tap on the folder and something will open up. So in this case, I'm going to tap GENOS 2. And these were the presets that I did for the holiday camp, okay? And then he'll have his stuff listed on there. You know, it could be, I know he had the Ultimate Registration USB, it'll have titles. And then you select the one that you want.
Okay. Okay.
As soon as you touch it, it loaded the GENOS with the presets automatically.
Okay.
So as soon as I touch that, these presets now have. Now I label them so I can know what my presets are for angels, Christmas tree, and so forth. But let's take that a step further. You have them on the stick, which is great. But you may not want to have to put the stick in every time.
Okay.
You can, if you want. I say keep the stick, have it handy. But why have to do that all the time? Well, I got to find the stick. So here's what you do. After you put the stick in, push the 2 buttons together.
I don't have a stick. Okay.
Yeah, some people have the stick. Ethel, I think yours is going to be built in when you get it.
Okay.
Actually, I know that. Actually, no, I already know. It's already built in. I'm trying to remember because you just got yours, and Marco was the one that updated it when he was there. But let's just say, Marco's got a new stick, and he's selling them, and you buy it, and you're like, okay, I got this stick, okay?
Right.
This is great, but I want to have to keep doing that. So you go in, you push the 2 buttons together, you're on this screen here, and you go to the USB, okay? And so in this case, we'll just use this GENOS 2 as an example, okay? What you can do is you can select by pressing File, okay?
Okay.
You can copy. You can even go a step further. You say, let's say we want to call it Marco Stick, or before we do anything, let's do a new folder first. Let's call it, you could say Marco, whatever he's selling or whatever he's, Marco, I guess there should be an apostrophe there, but Marco's all ultimate, whatever, okay? And you're like, okay. So now we have that. Actually, I made a mistake and put it on the USB. That's not where I want it, but we'll leave it there. I'm going to go to File. I want to copy, and I'm going to correct my mistake here. So I want to copy that. Okay? Or I can select all. You can do that too. And select all. Let's say it's that. You got all those files on there. And then you can copy it. And then it's basically saying, where do you want to copy it to? Where do you want to put it? Okay? I don't want to put it there. You know why I don't want to put it there?
You erase the other one.
No. You only erase another one if it's labeled the exact same way. Probably.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
all I'm doing is I'm copying it. I would be copying it to the USB again. See, I'm still on the USB. I don't want to copy it there because it's defeating the purpose. So I'm going to go to User. I want to copy it here. What I did is I created that folder prematurely, okay? I want to copy it here. Now, I don't want to just put it there. I'm going to create a folder here, and I'm going to label, this is where I'll label it, Marco, or whatever you want, whatever you're copying from the stick. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Now watch. I'm still in the screen where I'm copying here. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to select Marco. Now I'm going to then I'm going to do copy here. Now these aren't Marcos, but same. The idea is the same.
I understand.
So now watch this. When I go to the user here, you'll see there's a separate folder here that says Marco. And when I touch it, all those files that were on the USB are now in the GENOS. So if I take the USB out and I still press user, there they are.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can do that, or Robert was showing us how to do that, and we got to rename that folder. Just press File, Rename, select which one you want to rename. I want to rename this, and then select Rename, and then just I think I'll put Robert because this is my stuff. Okay. Holiday. I can name it however I want. Now it's changed, but all the content that's in there is still the same. Okay?
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I want to get rid of that folder that says Marco's Ultimate because there's nothing there, just File, Delete. Then you have to select what you want to delete. And then delete. Are you sure? Doesn't say that, but it's basically saying, hey, wait a second. What it's really saying right there is, you sure you want to do this? And then you're going to have to call Mark or Robert and go, hey, I accidentally deleted this. How do I get it back? That's what it's saying. I'm just kidding. All right. And then just yes. Okay, so now it just has the original stuff in there. Now the Lowry stuff really is irrelevant because that will only work on a Lowry and the MK will only work on an MK. So in this case, maybe I'll just delete those two. So now I have, yeah, yes to all. See? So, there again. All right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Now, the last thing I want to say, and I know we've gone a little long here, but this is important because it ties into this. Maybe I should have said this first. Right now, this instrument has presets in it. It has the presets for the holiday camp that we did, okay? If you want to experiment with some of these, doing your presets, unless you want to take what's programmed here and create on top of that or change them, which you can do, sometimes I'll recommend for starters, because right now, each one of these presets has a preset for a different holiday song. One has Angels We Have Heard, This is for me to play Grandma Got Run by a Reindeer, O Christmas Tree, O Holy Night. And each one was designed to play one song. But if I want to create some presets from here and for a song, if I'm not going to use this as my starting point, one of the things I would encourage you to do, first, you can do this, you may want to take a different approach, and it's okay, is when you go to the registration bank, you'll notice that there is an option there that's called blank registration bank. And if you do that, Mark will program that so that when you select that option, it automatically puts these presets with nothing in them. There's nothing there. Okay? They're empty. And so if you want to start with a rhythm and use your one-touch settings and kind of save from there, you can do that. Okay? But keep in mind, sometimes we like to load a preset. Like one of the times I took one of the playlist songs and they loaded them in here, and I liked them, but there were like 3 presets that I wanted to change, and then I resaved it over on top of it, and you can do that as well. Okay? The only thing that I would recommend is that if you make those changes, go back and rename that what that preset says. So you can identify it when you're looking at your screen. Okay? This to me is, I would strongly encourage, don't get caught up, if you're not doing this yet, don't get caught up on coming up with great sounds. Start the process of saving and doing it and saving it and putting it in the instrument or putting it on the USB or both, and then just seeing if you're doing it right. So that way when you do want to put them up with some setups that you want to change for yourself that you like, that, then you know how to do it. Learn the process of doing that. Saving a preset's pretty simple, just memory in one, and it's going to give you the option of how you want to save that. Okay? So, that's all I have for you today. Actually, I don't know why I say this, but every time I think, boy, I'm going to talk about one thing today, I'm going to be done in like 20 minutes. They're going to think, boy, I'm not giving them enough material. And then I looked up at the last few minutes ago, oh my God, I've been doing this for a little while. You got to take the time out that I had to set up all of the TV and all that stuff. So anyway, I'll finish up with actually I'll bring back the Phantom, but I'm going to use those presets for something else. I'll just do a quick little 1-minute song. Let's see, Geno's Class, Phantom Variation 2. But instead of Phantom, I'll play something else. There we go. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to use a disco, but I'm going to go back to the 70s disco dance and use the one-touch setting. Okay, I like number 3 and 4. So 70s disco dance, number 3 and 4 is probably what we're going to use. Here we go. Up. Wow. Well, you know what? I wonder what would happen if I do this. I wasn't planning on doing that, but let me see if I can play it. I was like, that sounds like that song. Here we go. Now I got to remember how to play it. I was going to do YMCA, Okay, need a little practice. Need a little practice on it. I really don't play that. It was kind of like, I know that chord's there.
What
I was,
tempo were you playing that at?
what's
What
that?
tempo? My God, that was fast.
That's the tempo that it comes up with when you press
Holy cow.
70s disco dance, which is,
Okay.
I'll just pull it up on the screen there so you can see it. So if you push the retro pop, page
Okay.
270s, it comes up to 118. Actually, that's the tempo for that song. And it sounds
Oh,
like that they designed that intro. Now, the intro that I used was intro 2 with an A minor. And
Two,
I was,
A
yeah, I
minor.
was going to play YMCA because I know that one better. But when I heard the intro, I thought, that sounds like that one song. And then I realized, wait a second, I really don't know that song very well, but I will survive.
I will survive.
Right? Anyway, I'll leave it with that. I'll learn that song and play it better for you. Next time I play it, I'll have it down pat. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the class today. So thank you so much. Stay safe, everyone. Keep playing music. And don't forget, tomorrow, Carrie and I are going to be doing a nice little fun little program at 2 p.m. Eastern. Stay safe. Keep playing music every day. And mwah, mwah.
Bye. Bye, Robert.
Bye-bye.